Hey y'all, Carolina Tony here. Today, the road brings us to the village of Capitan, New Mexico. And this is the home of Smokey Bear. You all may remember Smokey Bear, remember? Only you can prevent forest fires. Well, we are going to learn a little bit about Smokey Bear today, and we are going to see where he is buried. And we'll get started right after this station identification. This is the Smokey Bear Historical Park. This park commemorates Smokey Bear and describes the history and development of this national symbol of forest fire prevention. The original Smokey is buried here within the site of the mountain where he was found, orphaned by a fire raging in the Lincoln National Forest. And that is about the size of Smokey when they found him. He had been burned by a forest fire. But back in the day, Smokey was very popular with kids, TV shows. Even Smokey was on cartoons. Look at this car, Smokey's Little Helpers. And all these posters, don't see much of them anymore. If not you, who? In 1962, an American black bear with gold-colored fur who had been orphaned near Magala, New Mexico, was sent to the National Zoo as a mate for Smokey. Her name was Goldie, and Goldie's name commemorated the golden anniversary of New Mexico's statehood from 1912 to 1962. She was also known as Mrs. Smokey, and she was a very gentle bear. She lived at the zoo until her death in 1977. Goldie and Smokey never had the privilege of having children. One of the things that New Mexico is iconic for is the hot air balloons. And here's a photograph of the Smokey the Bear hot air balloon. Day before TV, Smokey Bear was even on radio. But he never stopped wishing he died on the way. There's a Smokey Bear hat. And learn about firefighting in here. Happy birthday, Smokey Bear, 1944 to 2019. 75 years old. Wow. This harness was worn by Smokey Bear as a cub on his 1950 flight to Washington, D.C. Frank Hines of Hobbs, New Mexico, piloted the plane, while Homer C. Pickens, assistant game warden for the New Mexico Game and Fish Department, cared for Smokey during the flight. And there are some actual photographs of Smokey crawling on the plane.
A small, badly burned cub was found clinging to a charred tree not far from Capitan, New Mexico. The Capitan Gap and Los Tapos fires, which most believe were started by people, swept over 17,000 acres. Hundreds of firefighters battled the blaze, which raged out of control for several days. A strong wind trapped the firefighting crew, who were lucky to escape with their lives. In the blackened and bare forest, a frightened cub had lost its mother. The crew carried the cub back to camp, and then Ray Bell, a pilot with the New Mexico Game Department, flew it to a vet in Santa Fe. For several weeks, Ray and his family cared for the little bear. Right from the start, Ray wanted to name the bear Smokey. Pretty quickly, others agreed that Smokey the cub could help spread the fire prevention message. And it was true. Smokey was flown to his new home at the National Zoo in Washington, D.C., where he grew into a very large bear. Every day of his life, he was visited by hundreds of children who were delighted to see him, even though he didn't look exactly like the bear in the posters. He became so popular that children around the world knew of him and his message. When Smokey...
There are all kinds of little toys and trinkets here about Smokey Bear. Here is a Smokey Bear Lego, Smokey Bear Canteen, blocks, Smokey Bear bobblehead, Smokey Bear bubble bath, a Smokey Bear water bottle.
That's interesting. That's the Ray Bell's. He's the first state forester.
The first state forester, Ray Bell. This is field binoculars. Look, Smokey Bear jewelry. Debbie, you got to get you some Smokey Bear earrings. After you exit the Smokey Bear Museum, you go outside and there's some things that tells you where you're at and what the terrain is and the different things around. That is a pine there. That is a bristlecone pine. Just another Smokey sign. Remember, only you can prevent forest fires. And the first time it flew was in October of 1993. We haven't quite got to the Smokey Bear grave, but this is the resting place right here of the first Smokey Bear balloon. The Smokey Bear balloon was built and sent aloft by a unique public-private partnership of volunteers, private sponsors, National Association of State Foresters, and the U.S. Forest Service. The Friends of the Smokey Bear Balloon Incorporated is the sole license used by Smokey Bear image in the balloon form and for selling related balloon products. How many of you remember this? The Smokey Bear song. It goes something like this. Smokey the bear, growling and a growling and a sniffing in the air. He can spot a forest fire before it gets to flame. That's why they call him Smokey, and that's how he got his name.
He retired from the Forest Service on May 2nd, 1975. He was 25 years old. That's 70 years old in human years, which was in those days the mandatory retirement age for all federal employees. Smokey was honored as the first bear to become a full-fledged member of the National Association of Retired Federal Employees. At age 26, Smokey died peacefully in his sleep of old age in our nation's capital. The date was November 9th, 1976, our nation's bicentennial year. Among many suggestions, burying Smokey in the Capitan Mountains near where he was found was considered a fitting final chapter, but concerns of vandalism and the virtually inaccessible site made another proposal prevail, to bury him in the town of Capitan. It has been said that although Smokey belongs to everyone, the people of Capitan love him just a little bit more. Quietly, still suspect of vandals, his remains were flown to Albuquerque, driven to Capitan, and a respectful burial place took place. Shortly after, a dedication ceremony was held and attended by over 200 guests. The boulder that marks his grave was brought down from the forest where he was found. Smokey Bear lives in the hearts of children. He is a symbol of pride to the people of New Mexico. His name is synonymous with forest fire prevention nationwide, and he is the world's most well-known and beloved bear. For years and years to come, people can visit Smokey's graveside and pay their respects to this American legend. And remember, only you can prevent forest fires.
Well, that is going to do it for our trip to Capitan, New Mexico, to the grave site and museum of Smokey Bear. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give us a big old thumbs up. Be sure to share this video with your family and friends. But until next time, remember, only you can prevent forest fires. And hey, y'all have a good day.